Hi, everyone. Welcome to another 30 Goals Conference. Now we have our closing keynote, Barbara Bray. And Barbara, would you say hi to the audience and let us know where you are?
Hi, everyone. I'm in Oakland, California, and it's a beautiful hot day today. I have the fan blowing on me just so I can not get too warm. But I'm so excited to be here, Shelley. Thank you so much for letting me be part of this wonderful conference. I'm just been blown away by all the amazing people that have been here. Thank you so much, Shelley.
Oh, thank you. And while she's getting her slides together to inspire you, I am going to let you know a little about her. Barbara is here because I have been wanting to see her speak for such a long time. She's actually given quite a few keynotes and some amazing stories I've heard from her when we've got to spend time together. She's the co-founder of Personalized Learning and the co-author of the book, Make Learning Personal with Kathleen McClaskey. She believes now is the time to transform teaching and learning. She's also created myecoach.com. She's also, her recent project that she's been doing, and you can even join tonight, is her Learn chat. And if you follow that hashtag, we'll put all of that inside the chat box. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and let her inspire you with her closing keynote.
Thank you, Shelley. Well, I'm going to be talking about planting a seed of beliefs. And there's a reason why I was really excited that you said this is the topic I want you to talk about, because one of the things that we found out about personalized learning is that it's really difficult to move or transform teaching and learning unless you have these shared beliefs with all the stakeholders. And what that means is that you're building a common language around those beliefs. And so what I want to be able to talk about today is how would you grow learner-centered environments, and let you know that a lot of the resources that are here are on our website, which is down below the little badge that's there. It's personalizedlearning.com. And we also want you to be able to use the chat wing and chat in there. But if you're going to go and put something up on Twitter, you're going to use the 30 goals, the Twitter handle 30 goals edu. But also, if you can use PLearnChat, the hashtag PLearnChat, it'll go out to our group also. So let me go and talk about the first thing, is bringing up Alvin Toffler's quote. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And this is our concern, is that what's happened with the movement on standardized tests and AYPs and all the other things that are happening to schools right now, we need to get our kids back so they can problem solve and they can think on their own. And what's happened is a lot of our kids aren't prepared for their future. And so I love this quote and always like to share it. And Kathleen and I try to bring this up. Why would you personalize learning? It's really about our kids and their future. So I want to take you into, are they prepared? Are they prepared for their future? You look at all the skills and attributes and dispositions that employers want now. They want teamwork. They want them to be able to research on their own without someone telling them what to do. They want them to be able to organize and adapt to change. And they want them to have all the technical literacy, digital literacy basically, online, and be able to find the resources on their own instead of someone just hanging over them telling them what to do. So are they prepared? This concerns us and concerns so many. In fact, in watching a lot of the keynotes that were already on, they talked about this. Are we doing this? We need to bring problem solving back, creativity, fun, joy back to the classroom. But this has changed. This is changing so much. When we talk about personalized learning, some people, some teachers freak out. They get concerned that we're talking about making it so you're changing the curriculum and making it more creative. So wanted to share, this is a post that we did and Sylvia Duckworth was another one of your speakers here. So it's kind of fun when I went back to look. She made this beautiful graphic about managing complex change. When you have to change, you need everything in place. You need to have that vision and the belief system. You also need the skills, but you also have to provide the incentives and resources to teachers so they can do this, and you need that action plan. I love how Sylvia put a little hooray at the end, but what happens if you don't have that vision? If you don't have that belief system in, what happens for so many people is they're confused, and then there's resistance. And you even have some people that might fight moving to this. Even though they want the best for their children, they may not know what to do. And they could, if they don't have the skills, they're going to be anxious about it. And some teachers, gosh, you have so much on their plate. It's so scary that they become resistant and frustrated. And then without a plan, you can't really move. So this is on our website. The URL is at the bottom for you. What we try to do is share anything that I'm sharing here. We try to find the resource for you and make sure you can go back and review it. So thank you, Sylvia. I just want to let you know you do wonderful work and really appreciate that you made this so easy to follow. But what happens, one of the things with change is also mindset. And I saw the one that Dan I can't say his name, but the one who did the last keynote yesterday talked about mindset. Carol Dweck, a researcher at Stanford, wrote a book on mindset and talked about the difference between fixed and growth mindset. And I'm just going to bring up myself. I wrote about myself when I was young. I grew up in a family of artists, and my mother made it so all of us could think out of the box, we're creative, never drew inside the lines, and we always asked lots and lots of questions. That was until I went to school. And when I went to school, I realized I was a great learner, but not a very good student. I questioned everything and got in trouble. I was told to keep my mouth shut. And that's, I don't know if people know me, that's kind of hard for me to do. But I realized I started shutting down and became really quiet and had this mindset that I couldn't do math, I couldn't do this, or I couldn't do that. And it wasn't until I graduated from high school and went to a community college, and I had a teacher who told me, wow, you are creative. And he created a learning environment that let me realize that I could do anything I wanted. It didn't have to be about talent. It didn't have to be about intelligence. It's because I had that perseverance and I could do it if I wanted to. And that's why I'm doing what I am today. It's to be able to realize that you can find your purpose if you have that ability and that time and the environment, and it's flexible enough that it gives you the ability to take some risks. And that's why I love this about building this mindset. And one of the things that I see is our teachers need to model this. We need to figure out a way that if we feel that we can't do this ourselves, it comes across to the kids. So this is a quote that I'd love to share with you. This is for all of us. All of us are learners. If you explore your interests, your aspirations and talents, you find your passion, you will then discover your purpose. And I'd love you to share it out. You can use it. This is the one thing that I find is important. We don't have the time in school, everything with pacing guides and so much inflexible curriculum the way it is right now, we just don't have the ability to take our time to explore our interests and find out what we love to do, what we're passionate about. All of us, if we can find our purpose, what is that saying? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So I hope you're enjoying what I'm saying, because I'm getting a little excited. I want to share something that Kathleen and I put together. And some of you may or may not have seen this. This was put together. This is what we call a personalization versus differentiation versus individualization chart. Or we call it the PDI chart. And if you haven't seen it and it's hard to see on the screen, you can download it at our site. If you go to personalizedlearning.com, there's a tab called Toolkit, and you can download it, or you can see it on the screen. The main thing that we want to get across is that personalization is about the learner. The learner's driving the learning. The teacher in differentiation and individualization is providing the instruction. That's the difference. And so we find that this chart really seemed to make a lot of sense for a lot of people. We created this chart in response to the National EdTech Plan in 2010, because it said personalization was focusing mostly on instruction, and we wanted to show that there is a difference. And this is where we hear, people say, well, we're differentiating. If the teacher's in control of the learning and providing the instruction, yes. Same with individualization. And there's some confusion. So we've had this downloaded millions of times, and we hope this helps people understand the differences between those. It's all about the learner. So I'm going to go in and go a little closer so you can see it. See, the learner drives the learning with personalization. In differentiation, the teacher provides instruction to groups of learners. And in individualization, the teacher or the IEP team provides instruction to an individual learner. If you see that picture there, that I see teachers working harder than ever. I don't know if you're a teacher out there, but I just wanted to know if you're working now and you find yourself just going crazy with the amount of work you're doing, you want to try to figure out how you don't have to be the hardest working person in the classroom. They say, if you're the one working, you're the one learning. And what happens with differentiation and individualization and the way those are set up, the missing piece is the learner. So when you look at the lower left, that's our logo. We made that piece, that logo, mainly because we found that the learner gets left out. We need to bring the learner back and focus on the learner. And stop making it so the teacher is the one accountable and responsible for the learning. So I'm going to take you into one of our posts that we wrote, and it's on our website. You'd be able to find it by doing a search on responsibility. Why is it that teachers are the ones held accountable for what learners are to learn? Think about it. If they're responsible, then why are there's this sense of, from the learners, well, if it doesn't impact me as much, maybe I'm not going to, you teach me. We need to switch that and make them the ones that are responsible, so they're the ones accountable for what they're learning. And this is tough for a lot of us, because if you're teaching now, I think teaching now in the last 10 years has probably been harder than ever. And you are, you're held up to all the scores represent what you're teaching them, not what they're learning. And that's really difficult. We need to switch this and move it back. And one of the things that we found that I really want to share is we've been teaching to the average. And Dr. Todd Rose is a researcher out of Harvard and a neuroscientist. He did a TED Talk called The Myth of Average. And when you think about it, most of us have been teaching to the average. But if you look at this learning map and you see that the memory's high, language is okay, a little bit higher than average, knowledge is high, but reading is low, and vocabulary is low, but you looked at another learner and put their map up, it probably would look a little different. In fact, you probably don't have one person in your classroom with the same learning map. And you probably don't have, I don't think there is anyone out there that's all average. So one of the things that we look at is looking at all the learners in your classroom at the extremes. Where are they? Where do they have their strengths? Where do they have their challenges? And just identifying those instead of trying to figure out a way of meeting all the needs from teaching one size fits all. So what Kathleen and I've been doing is using Universal Design for Learning. That's UDL. Some of you have heard that. But Universal Design for Learning is the framework for personalized learning. And some of you probably understand that, but I'm just going to go over. It's multiple means of representation. We call it access. Multiple means of engagement. We call it engage. And multiple means of expression and action. We call it express. And this is how we see you can personalize learning for all learners. Not to use learning styles, not to use multiple intelligences as a way of determining how you learn. We look at universal design for learning as that way. So think about this. How do you access information and process it into usable knowledge? So look at that first column. Think about yourself. How do you do it? Do you find that you work better if you're on your own, or if you're going online, or if you're reading out of a book? What's the best way for you to process information? Many people find that they might need to look in a book, maybe highlight it, grab some of the notes. Kathleen tells me she loves to use Pocket and grab them off the internet and then read them later. So think about how you like to access information. Then we'll look at the third column. Think about engaging with that information and that content. What's the best way for you to do that? Are you looking at that you like to sit and I mean, I know I like to listen to music when I'm working. I find it's hard for me to be in a quiet room, where some, just the opposite. I know there are some that like to stand up when they're working. Some people like to be able to problem solve and have hands-on. So think about that instead of putting people and saying, oh, you're a visual learner or an auditory learner. And then the last column on express, think about the best way for them to express what they know and understand. How can they provide evidence of how they make sense of that learning? So this is all on our website also. We want you to be able to see that. And kind of just put your arms around it, because this is what we really believe is the what will help teachers and learners and even parents understand their children and how they learn best. Take you into some research right now. And this is research from the studentsatthecenter.org. There's a link at kind of toward the bottom by Dr. Tashalis and Nicola. They did a report on motivation, engagement, and voice. We feel that they need all three of these to be able to succeed and reach their fullest potential. So I'm just going to say these three things here because it really means a lot. Without motivation, there is no push to learn. Without engagement, there is no way to learn. And without voice, there is no authenticity in the learning. So think about those. I mean, some days don't you just want to go, why can't I get you engaged and motivated to learn? Teachers work so hard, But if we can just give them that, that'll give them some strategies to feel comfortable and own their learning. So if you're, I'm hoping you're putting some questions in the chat and also adding to the Twitter handles at the bottom for us. Any questions? Got some more here. Here's one. Kathleen and I just are so thankful for Chris Watkins. He's a researcher at the University of London. He has helped us so much make sense of learning. He had this one research article, and it was so great that we wrote about it. It's called Learners in the Driving Seat. And when you drive your learning, you're more engaged. Just like that article that that research article I just shared with you. And you have that intrinsic motivation because it's something you want to do. And he also says they set higher challenges. They evaluate their own work, and they're better problem solvers because they're following on their own path. So look at this quote from Chris. As for the journey of life, at some point you will realize that you are the driver and you will drive. And we hope that, you know, if you can look at some more from Chris, this is one of them that we found helped us understand, because it's about control. Teachers are taught to manage the classroom and control the classroom. These kids want control of their learning. If we can figure out a way that we can give them this so they can drive their own learning and take responsibility for it, there's that intrinsic motivation for them. It's around something they're really, really interested in. So I'm going to bring you one more that he talked about, and it's called Learners Learning About Learning, or meta-learning. I know we've mentioned metacognition in the research, but Chris talks about meta-learning. And he says this: in a traditional classroom, you tend to be proving your performance, where in a personalized learning environment, you're improving your learning. So that really made sense. When you talk about proving versus improving, I really love that. It says in a traditional classroom, you're basically trying to focus on the tests and the grades. And there are some kids that if you say you want them to move to a personalized learning environment and you talk to them, they get a little freaked out at first too, because they'll go, what about my grades? What about all the tests? Some of them really want to do the tests because they've been conditioned that way. Where in a personalized learning environment, what you're doing is you're trying to improve the learning. You're not focusing on the performance. And when you can focus on improving the learning, your performance improves. Where if you focus on the performance, you tend to decrease the performance. It's so much, it's an extrinsic motivation instead of something you really want from inside you. So I'm just going to share one of our teachers that we wrote in our book, and I'll tell you about the book at the end. But Shelley Wright was a high school educator in Saskatchewan, Canada, and she's a chemistry teacher. And she wanted her class to move from teacher-centered to learner-centered, so they do their own research. And what she found is when they started doing this, creating their own project based on something they were interested in, they had a purpose. It was more than just getting prepared for the test. And she came up with these 3 questions, or actually the kids came up with it, which is very similar to access, engage, and express. So look at this. What are you going to learn? How are you going to learn? And how are you going to show me your learning? And she put these questions up on her wall. And when you think about those questions, the kids can relate to it. If they can actually apply these same questions to what are you going to learn, and maybe pitch it, how are you going to learn, show the process, and how are you going to show me your learning with the evidence. Think about those. So one of the things we want is to move from traditional to learner-centered. And so this is a chart. It's on our site. I want you to just see how It's not about learning the same material at the same time. It's not about one teacher trying to control the classroom. You'll see more and more multi-age classrooms are the norm, flexible learning spaces, and hopefully using UDL Lens to know how learners learn best. So I want to show you a quote. One of my favorite quotes is from B.B. King. The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. Think about, this is the whole thing about that intrinsic motivation. It's you learn something, it's there. It's in your brain forever. And no one can take it away from you. So I'd love to see you plant a seed of beliefs. So you can grow learner-centered environments one seed at a time. Think about any of these bullet points. What can you do? Believe that all learners can learn. Find a way that you can change the belief system so everyone is looking at taking responsibility for their own learning. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me have this time. Thank you, Shelley. Oh, I want to give you one more that tells you, forgot all about this. Did I forgot? I was going to just tell them to make sure they go. We have a book. It's the Make Learning Personal that we have a discount on it for you if you want to purchase the book. It's on the Corwin Press. We have it on our site. We have a Twitter chat tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on changing and building culture. It's almost like it was made for today. So join us there. And if anyone wants to actually build a common language, we have a course starting on September 23rd. Sorry, Shelley. I forgot about that last one. Thank you.
No problem at all. That was really wonderful. I really, really enjoyed the presentation. I thought you were really inspiring, and a lot of people did as well. So I'm going to let you answer some of the comments and also almost if there was any questions as well. But I think there was mostly just a lot of comments. And we did, we had Nick, for example, say it was very, very good presentation about the power, very engaging about the power of, this thing goes by so fast, the power of different environments. Peggy George says teachers need to learn to be, these things. There's so much that they're writing about you. Things. She says, thank you so much. You have captured some outstanding points about being learner-centered.
Oh, thank you.
There's so many. No such thing as a student can't learn by Judy.
I love that. Did I lose you?
No, and they've
No.
loved your quotes as well. A lot of them have been saying that these were some very motivational quotes.
Oh, great.
They said, really awesome. In 30 minutes, you managed to capture how we can plant seeds for our students in education.
I was trying to go as fast as I could.
No, you were amazing. You're really, really awesome. So many great comments.
That's great. Well, if there's no questions, that's pretty amazing. I was trying to see. I can't see the questions. Should I look online myself?
Actually, we've been having a lot more comments instead of questions. But I know, what's the topic going to be for tonight's personalized learning? Because they were asked, that was one thing that was being asked about the personalized learning chat.
Changing and building culture. We want to talk about the first 2 weeks of school and how do you build relationships. So there's more the kids take more responsibility for the learning right off the bat. We're going to talk about that. We also have some resources we share. We get people from all over that have amazing resources, plus their own experiences that they love sharing, which for us, in fact, Shelley, you were in one or two of them, I think, when we did some.
I was. They were really awesome.
Yeah, it's fun because it's a little different than, some people are doing the things we're talking about. And we found out from just by people being part of our Twitter chat, we found stories to tell. So on our website, we have journeys and models that we're trying to share, because we just don't know what's out there until, and that's why I love social media. And that's how we met.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we got to meet Nisty. Nick had said he had never heard of UDL before, and he said thank you so much. So with that in mind, where could they be able to access more information on the things that you had said in your presentation?
What I could do is put a little bit of the links at the bottom. I can send them to you, put them on our page if you want.
Okay.
But on our website, the last P-Learn chat we had was on UDL. So we put up a blog post there with all of the resources that are embedded in a story 5 from the chat. And we're also going to be writing more and more about universal design for learning, because a lot of people are questioning what that is and what it means. And there is also UDL center.org, and there'll be some others we can put up for you. But if you did Universal Design for Learning, that's out of CAST, the Center for Applied Technology. Kathleen knows it better than I do about the acronyms, but Applied Special Technology, and that's CAST. CAST.org also has information about UDL.
And then another comment was that they really liked that you added the messy part for the learning. They thought that was really important.
I didn't add enough. I was going to do more, and then I thought, oh my gosh, this will be an hour long. I don't want to do that. But
I know, because you have so many great, you've done so many keynotes and stuff before. Could they find that as well on your site, like videos or where your presentations are?
Yeah, under events, we have a drop-down menu that has past events, and they link to some of the websites and things like that. But we also have upcoming events, and we're adding some more that we're trying. We're trying to keep up. It's just Kathleen and I and Pam. I think Pam Lowe was on your Twitter chat too. I mean, on your chat wing. Pam helps us so much with our social media, because it's hard. And by the way, I'm in California, and Kathleen's in New Hampshire. So a lot of the work we do is virtual. And so we both are sharing and using Google Drive all the time, and Dropbox and Google Hangouts and things like that. So, and constantly learning. We learn so much from so many people.
Yes, exactly. And I'm going to end it with that, because that was beautiful from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Shelley, for such an opportunity like this.